Welcome to all grade 9 learners and educators. My name is Linda Hackner and I represent the Cape Town Holocaust and Genocide Centre. We're bringing to you that section of your curriculum that deals with the failure of the Weimar, the rise of the Nazi Party, the outbreak of World War II, the Holocaust, people's experiences, and rescue and resistance. Today, we're going to talk about people's experiences, and we're going to look specifically at why the Nazis targeted the Jews, why the Jews were such an easy scapegoat for them. Grade 9, according to the Nazis, the worst of all blood was Jewish blood. The Nazis believed that Jewish blood has something in it that's so bad that it makes Jews not even human, that it makes Jews a Gegenrasse, a counter race. Now, what does it mean to be Jewish? Well, it means to follow the religion of Judaism. If you are Jewish, you follow the religion and customs of Judaism in the same way as if you are Christian, you follow the religion and customs of Christianity. If you are Muslim, you follow the religion and customs of Islam. You may be more religious or less religious, but you identify as that religion. What is anti-Semitism? Well, anti-Semitism is a particular kind of racial hatred that presents Jews as a race rather than a religious group and community. It shows Jews and Judaism only in a negative light, and it is any message that seeks to degrade, put down Jewish people or threaten them. So now I've said that anti-Semitism is a racial hatred, but prior to it becoming a racial hatred, it was also a religious hatred, and let me explain. Before the birth of Jesus, in the area that's today known as Israel and Palestine, Jews were persecuted because they followed the only religion which recognized one God only. The Romans believed in many gods. The Greeks had believed in many gods, as had the Egyptians. But Judaism believed in only one God, and this angered the Romans, who were in charge at the time. The head of the Romans actually believed himself to be divine and needed to be prayed to, and of course the Jews refused to do this. When Jesus was born, he was born Jewish, he lived as a Jew, and indeed he died as a Jew. And he preached as a Jew, and he was preaching to both the Romans and to those Jewish people who felt that some of the priests had become too strict and had lost their way. So he was preaching to everybody, and he angered many people. He angered the Jewish priests, and he certainly angered the Romans, who crucified him. The Jews did not have the power to crucify anybody. The Romans crucified Jesus. Now let's fast forward 500 years. We're in the 4th century, and Christianity becomes the official religion of the Roman Empire. So it becomes the Holy Roman Church. And of course, they want the Jews to become Christians. And they say, well, look, Christianity has superseded or taken over Judaism. You don't need to be Jews anymore. But for Jewish people, they did not accept that Jesus was the Son of God or the Messiah, the bringer of peace. For Jewish people, always, there is only one God. There cannot be a Son of God. For Christian people, there's the Holy Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. But for Jewish people, there is only God. Well, the Romans were very angry with the Jews and blamed them for the death of Jesus. And then they asked, well, who would kill God? Only the devil. And so this idea of Jews as the devil was born and started to be preached. And in fact, it emerged in a lot of artworks. You see this image of a Jew with horns and a tail. You see other images of Jews with horns and tails, depicting them as the devil. And of course, then they were shunned. They were treated as outsiders. They were always pressured to convert to Christianity. But when they didn't, they were excluded from many occupations and activities in society. So the only job grade 9, that they were allowed to do was to be money lenders. And whose money were they lending? They were lending money that belonged to Christians to other Christians, because the Christian church didn't allow Christians to charge each other interest. So they used the Jew as the middleman. And so stereotypes about Jewish people are born from this. Jewish people who love money or are stingy. I think we've heard these stereotypes. There's always a place where these things begin. Jews were blamed for the plague and accused of killing Christian children in blood rituals. So they were used as a scapegoat in many situations. During the Middle Ages, they were actually forced to wear different kinds of clothing, these conical hats, so that you could see them coming from a distance. When I mentioned that Jews were used as a scapegoat and blamed for the ills of society, one particular instance was the bubonic plague that spread through Europe in the Middle Ages, killing millions of people. How did the bubonic plague come to be? Well, there were rats that came on ships from different countries. Fleas on those rats bit the rats, got rat blood in them, and then bit humans and gave them the bubonic plague. They died in their millions. Because they didn't understand what was happening, they turned to the useful and regular scapegoat, the Jews, and murdered them in their thousands, burnt them, did all sorts of things, because they accused the Jews of bringing the plague by poisoning wells, water wells. And so they were expelled from European cities all through the Middle Ages and all through Europe. The Crusades, which took place between the 11th and 13th century, were when Christians moved towards the Holy Land in order to convert everybody to Christianity and recapture the Holy Land. Well, on their way, they massacred many, many Muslims and many, many Jews. Jews were also forced to convert to Christianity, grade 9. So in the Spanish Inquisition, in Spain, where they had lived for many centuries happily, suddenly they were tortured and burnt to death if they refused to convert to Judaism. Along then came the American and French revolutions. This changed things, because suddenly people were looking more at the state rather than the church. And so people, particularly thinkers, the philosophers in the Enlightenment, the Age of Reason, said, hold on a minute, why can't everybody have equal rights? Why can't Jews enjoy the freedom of religion as everyone else does? And so for a time, things were a little better, until the 19th century, until this idea of race took place, until this idea of different races, different people having different kinds of blood. And so people said, no, Jewish people, it's not a religion, it's a race. And so the rise of racial anti-Jewish prejudices came about, and so Jewish racism was born. Now, what did the Nazis do? The Nazis, well, of course, used all different forms of anti-Judaism, from religious to social, but mostly racial. Antisemitism underpinned their worldview of blood purity and German blood superiority. Grade 9, thank you very much for listening. In our next unit, we're going to look at how the Nazis dealt with other German citizens whom they considered to have impure blood. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you in Unit 5.